We all remember Jabari Parker, the second pick in 2014. And after a few years in the league, he looked like a borderline all star. His scoring improved over the years. And it was looking good in 2016. He's putting up 20 points, 5 assists. I mean, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was looking really good, like a borderline all star. And, the Bucks were doing good. But then, sadly, he tore his left ACL. And against Miami, he had to recover. He came back the next season. He only played 31 games, and his stats weren't as appealing as they were before the injury. He only put up 12.4 points, 48% shooting, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. The rebounds are, I guess, they're still, and the assists were there, but the field goal percentage isn't there because he shot 52% from the field the previous season. But due to injury, it affected him. He looked like a borderline all-star, and then, the injury happened and it just wasn't the same. But we're going to talk about today, can he be the Bulls' savior? Can he save them? Can, they make the playoffs next season? He's the hometown kid. This reminds me of the Derrick Rose story. He was a hometown kid. He won the MVP. His stats weren't, like James Harden's stats, but they were still, he impacted the floor, possibly better than James Harden and Derrick Rose, not Jabari Parker, Derrick Rose. And, it's just that culture that he brings to Chicago. He's the hometown kid. He's looking for, try to get back on his feet, try to get at that borderline all-star level. And I think he could do it in Chicago. It'd be really cool to see, the hometown kid leading his team like we saw Derrick Rose, like we've seen that before. We could have saw that in Paul George, but, he didn't want to sign with LA. I believe that Jabari Parker could probably be the savior for Chicago, just because of he's proven it before. And another thing you have to take in is the factor that he has a winning mentality. He wants to win. He's one of those guys who will come in early in the morning, work as hard as he can, do what he needs to do to win the next day. He's just one of those hard workers that, will never give up and always try to stay positive no matter what happens. There also is a drop-off between his stats that we're going to talk about. It's mostly his points. He did improve. He started coming into the league at 12 points a game, 14, then it jumped up to 20, then down to 12. But he only played 24 minutes a game last season, and this season, last season he played, the season that he got injured, he played about 34 minutes a night, and then the season that he came back, he only played about 22 minutes a night. That's pretty amazing stats for 22 minutes a night guy. How he fits with the Bulls, I can see him being either the small forward or the power forward, but I would prefer him as a power forward just because he can grab rebounds. He's a good rebounder, and he can also hit that mid-range. He doesn't have a really reliable three-point shot, but as you saw right now, that step back is crazy. And that's all I got for you guys, so peace out. Whoa, you guys thought for real. Nah, bro, we gotta talk about Jabari Parker. Let's play that video one more time, and let's list what he can do in Chicago. He can obviously play the power forward, which we've seen him play with Milwaukee. I personally see him playing as a power forward because he's just a better rebounder than most power forwards are. He can also score in the paint, and he's got a killer mid-range shot. Like, his step back is on point. It's a great step back shot. To have that ability, just step back and hit that shot at a consistent rate is pretty sick. Jabari Parker, going into this year, he wasn't expected of much due to the injury. Most big guys who come back from an injury aren't the same. Like Lamar Odom, he was never the same after his injuries. DeAndre Jordan, I guess you could say. Blake Griffin was never the same after his injuries. You could say that for a lot of, big guys who can play, so the power forward position or the center position, if they get like a torn ACL injury, they don't really come back the same, and that's why it hurts me to see guys like DeMarcus Cousins go down, who's one of the best centers in the league, and then, they get injured, and you never know if they're going to be the same. Same thing with Kristaps Porzingis, you never want to see that happen, and it's just sad to see with Jabari Parker, but being the hometown kid, it'd be pretty cool to see him lead his team, like the playoffs or something like that. I definitely see it happening. They have Zach LaVine, they have Chris Dunn, they have Wendell Carter Jr., they have Lowry Marketing. It'll be interesting to see if how they play the Wendell Carter situation, right? Because he is a center, he can play power forward as well, but they also have Lowry Market who can play power forward and center, and then you have Jabari Parker who plays um, small forward and power forward. The only way I could see it working is if they somehow make one of those guys a six man. But then again, Denzel Valentine is their starting small forward, and Jabari Parker is definitely an improvement on that point. One more thing I want to get into is that he reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose. He's that hometown kid. He was born there. He was raised there. He wants to prove it that he can lead this team to something. That'd be pretty cool to see him. Lead his team, as I said it many times before in the video. Um, one more thing I want to get into is if they do make the playoffs, is it worth it? I've been asked this question by my friends a lot. Is it worth it for Jabari Parker and the Bulls to make the playoffs? Like, won't they get swept right away? They're in the East, and you have to remain that a factor. Teams like Washington, Milwaukee, and I guess you could say Philadelphia. They didn't show up in expectations in the playoffs, and they didn't really get that much better over the free agency. You could say a couple of those teams. Cleveland not being a for sure one. Washington not even being a for sure one with the injuries that they had last season. And Otto Porter, he hasn't showed up, and he's got a ginormous contract. But we're getting away from the situation. I want to thank everyone for watching this video, and if we can get 2 likes for the next video, that'd be great. So make sure to like and subscribe. And guys, have a great day. God bless. Have a great day. I want to thank everyone for watching my video, if you have, and I just want to give a quick shout out to New Sun Productions, who let me use his footage for this video. So shout out to him. His Instagram will be in the description, so go check that out, and his channel will be in the description as well. So peace out, guys, and have a great day.